Functional range conditioning, toe CARs. We do our CARs daily to maintain the health, mobility, and longevity of the toe joints themselves. Now, we can't actively rotate our toe joints very easily, although they do rotate when we're going through movements like walking and hiking and playing sports. So we'll be using upward and downward motion of the toes to achieve our toe CARs. We're going to begin the toe CAR series by lifting all of the toes off the ground at the same time. So from the pinkies all the way across to the bigs, up and down, roughly 10 times. I'm not going to count my reps, but if you're doing this at home, I'd like you to count out 10 total lifts and 10 total downward movements. What you want to avoid here is lifting up of the midfoot when this happens. So if I see this and this happen, we are now moving the ankle instead of only the toe joint. So avoid that compensation of lifting the entire foot. Next in the toe CAR series, we will be doing only the big toe. So I'd like you to keep your little toes pressed down to the floor while you lift up and down the big toes only. Now, some of you might find this unachievable or quite challenging, and I will show you some ways of helping with this movement after we're done with the toe CAR series. So if this is very hard, that's okay. It's going to be challenging, and that's all right. So again, roughly 10 reps, up and down. After the big toes, we'll do the same with the little toes. So I'd like you to keep your big toes pressed into the ground while you lift up and down, only the little toes, up and down, off the ground. So as they come up, you are contracting muscles on the front of the shin and the top of the foot. As they go down, you are squeezing the muscles on the bottom side of the foot. Up and down, up, down, up, down. Then we're going to reverse it. So we're going to be lifting all the toes up and only going up, down with the big toes while the littles stay up in the air. So I'm coming up and down with only the big toes. Now you might find the little toes want to bend a little bit while doing this, but you don't want them to drop all the way down. So it's okay if they bend a little bit, but they're not allowed to touch the ground. Big toes down, big toes up. Then what we'll do is keep the big toes up while we go up and down with just the little toes. So big toes stay up in the air. Some of you might be experiencing foot cramps while doing these. And what that tells you is that your foot is not acquainted to doing this yet. What you might find is after doing CARs a few days in a row that those foot cramps start to decrease. So let's talk about if you're having a challenge doing this. So we'll go right into what we just did, and what you might find to be quite challenging is to keep the big toe down on the ground while you lift up and down the littles. So what you can do is find an object to pin the big toe down with. A broomstick, a pole. You can also do this holding it down with your hand if you're kneeling down. So now I am physically restraining my big toe while I go up and down with my littles. So this is one way to help avoid that compensation. Second, you might find it's very challenging to lift up the big toe individually while the littles stay down on the ground. So you find yourself a belt or a strap like this, a mobility strap, and you're going to put this underneath the big toe. Now this strap is going to act as a helper to achieve this. So I'm going to use the strap to help me lift up and down the big toe. Now I want to do this actively. I'm not just pulling passively with the strap. I'm actively trying to lift while the strap is helping me out. What you also might find is that it's very hard to keep the little toes down while you're lifting up and down the big toe. So what you can do for that is you are going to kneel down and you're going to place your fingers over the little toes so that as you try to lift up and down the big, they're not coming along for the ride. So you can restrain them with fingers on top and then up and down the bigs. And some of you might find that you need to do this until that you can achieve your active toe CARs without these compensations. So that's our functional range conditioning toe CARs. We do our CARs daily to maintain the health, mobility, and longevity of the toe joints themselves.